From the great outdoors of Alabama comes the Bama Backroads podcast. All right, guys, welcome into another episode of Bama Backroads podcast, and this is going to be a real special episode. I've talked in depth with Lee and his wife Laura. She's here with us. We are on the road. We're not in studio today. I decided it was important enough to come down here to Pitts Estates right here on the banks of Weiss Lake. And I'm telling you guys, wherever you look out of this house, you can see the lake. It is beautiful. Y'all did a great job building this.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Me and Laura, we worked hard on it, and we love it.
And I would too. This is what you strive for right here. If you love the outdoors, love being around the water, this is the creme de la creme here now. Well, Laura, I think we want to just jump right into this. And what we're talking about is how long ago has it been, Lee?
It was January the 28th, 2020.
Okay.
I can tell you the day, the time, because Lee had just was in the process of waking up from a colonoscopy that had been recommended months before, and he finally agreed. We got an appointment, and the doctor told us he had experienced some issues prior to that, and the doctor immediately, before Lee even was aware really of what was going on, said, I can tell you exactly what this is. It is a tumor, and it's malignant, and it was the size of a donut.
Wow. And
that quick, within 15 minutes of Lee waking up, I mean, it was like a whirlwind. Lee was like, I mean, we just looked at each other. When you hear the word cancer,
when I heard that, and I just looked at Laura because I was still coming to.
Right.
I thought, no, they're talking about somebody else. They're not talking about me. And I could see the look in her face. I was like, things just got real.
Yeah.
It was very surreal. And his GI doctor, Dr. Finn, was awesome. Within 15 minutes, Lee was downstairs. They were doing blood work, and the process began that quick. There was no time to waste. And we had the choices of the oncology doctor. I did a little investigation when he told us who it was. And Dr. Harris and his team at Harbin Clinic, I will give them a shout out. They saved Lee's life.
And that's in Rome.
That's in Rome.
Yep.
They were awesome. Everybody there, everybody that we dealt with during this process. We stayed local. I don't mind telling you, Lee and I did not have insurance, and that's even scarier. And there were groups, the Cancer Navigators. There were people that, reached out and helped us. And would not really so much financially, but just showed us the route to go.
Right.
Yeah.
Guided us in the right direction. That's what they did.
Yes. So anyway, we just went blindly we took what they said and Lee followed it. We were just in shock. This was during COVID. You think about it, they told us that the treatment plan that they started for Lee was not surgery immediately. It was 12 chemotherapy treatments, then it was rest, then it was 30 radiation treatments, and then surgery in the following September. So this is a long process. You're looking at a year process.
Wow. Yeah, I went through with the chemo and radiation and all that. It was just, you look back at it right now and just that whole year of my life, I still tried to kind of do what I could and do what I felt like doing, but and I'll be honest with guys, and people, I'll tell them it's not an easy road. I mean, you got to and they told me right off the bat, my oncologist, he sat down and talked to me. He said, your mindset, how you handle this, how you deal with this is 90% if this works or not. And he told me that. He said, you got to stay upbeat. You got to push yourself. You got to keep going. And I looked at it as back like we were playing ball. Hey, we're fixing to start 2-a-days. Yeah. And that's the only way I could look at it.
Yeah, you got sacked and then you got back up.
Yeah, it's just like, here you go. Pull the grass and the dirt out of your face mask. Let's get going.
Yeah, I remember talking to you during that time, and you and I've been friends a long time.
Yeah.
Uh, and I'll be honest, I was devastated. I was devastated for you.
We did not talk about it. We kept it very private. It was something that we were battling, and I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No,
just
go
to
ahead.
say that there wasn't a lot of people. A lot of people never even knew during the whole process that Lee had cancer.
Well, when I'd call and check on him, same old Lee. Like I was talking to you, 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you were upbeat and you were positive and you told me several times, I'm going to kick this thing's ass. And, I mean, I'm not sure I could have ever been that strong, Lee Pitts.
Well, and I'm going to tell you, it was one of those things that I give Laura a whole lot of credit because, like I said, she helped me through this. Helped me keep going, helped me keep pushing, and she could see as it was taking its toll on me a little bit, and she could see, me wearing down. And I remember one morning, I was laying in the bed and I didn't want to get up. It was deer season, and she's getting ready for work, and she said it was old misty, cloudy, nasty day, and she said, "You not getting up? You not going hunting today?" And I just looked at her. I said, I really don't feel good. I don't feel like going. And she said, "Don't you call in sick to the deer woods. You get out there and get us. We need another doe." And it kind of, I got to grinning, and I thought, okay, all right, yeah, okay. I better get on up and get with it.
There you go.
But just little things like that she kept me going. She kept pushing me. She would laugh at me. I would be walking around out in the yard more or less in circles. Just trying to do something, just trying to stay going, stay active.
Well, and during this whole process, not only were we facing the unknown of his cancer, we were also facing the unknown of COVID. So when I tell you we were terrified, this is the difference that it made. Lee had his first chemotherapy treatment at the hospital. Well, of course I was there. They served lunch. Of course I was going to be there. I knew several of the people. It became, everyone should go to an oncology ward because it is an eye-opening experience.
I'm sure.
To see Lee hooked up, to all those tubes, to watch his face literally turn gray from the chemicals that they were infusing. Then, as soon as he left that, after 6 hours of infusion, he would go over and he would wear a pump for 3 days. A pump so full of chemicals that he had to take a hazmat suit with him everywhere he went in case there was a spill.
Yeah, I had to keep one in my truck and one in my boat.
These
Yes.
are the chemicals that they're pumping in his body.
Wow.
So he would do that if he happened to have a trip, which during that time, the first chemo, COVID had not hit yet. That was in February that we were aware of. So he would have a trip, and then, then 3 days later, he would have to have the pump taken off. He would take his people out, let them break for lunch, drive to Rome, get the pump off, come back, and finish his day. He did that.
Yeah, I did that all through my chemo.
Yes.
So wait a minute. Wait.
So he would be pumped 3 days with chemotherapy, even after his chemo infusion.
You were taking people out on guide trips?
Oh yeah, with that, it was like a tourist fanny pack.
Yeah.
And I would just strap it on, and I had to wear it 3 days straight, and it pumped straight 24 hours a day chemo in me,
night and day, all the time. So
wow.
This was major. And then by the second chemotherapy treatment, we're into March. COVID has everything shut down. It was like something you can't imagine. It was like bombs had gone off everywhere. Nobody was allowed in the hospital. People were suited up. And Lee stays in Cherokee County. I drive back and forth. I'm in Rome. I'm in the city all the time. He was terrified because he'd never seen anything like it. The change within just a couple of weeks.
Oh, I'm sure.
Was major. So he goes in, I drop him off, and I can't tell you what it feels like to drop your husband off at the door to know what's fixing to happen. So he would go through all of that, not counting all the well, that's a whole nother story, but just going through all of that. He did that 8 treatments. And he did extremely well. He was supposed to do 12. So they forgave 4 of the treatments. So he took a month off to build his strength. And it's so funny, he has a terrific friend named Bob. And after every treatment, we would call when we would hit the state line. Bob would be sitting right here where we're sitting now, waiting on Lee. Every treatment. In fact, we have a book that shows we took pictures to track Lee's treatment. But anyway, after that, then he started radiation. 30 days straight. Every day he drove to Rome, except for weekends. And, just his mindset, which I'm telling you, is so important. And when you think about it, the whole process that we didn't realize, of course now we do, when Lee and I built this house, Lee built this house with cancer. He was hanging off 90-degree weather off the sides of these decks, with full-blown cancer. And they think he had it 10 years.
I remember that. I remember coming over here just to drink a beer with you. And you tell me, man, I just don't feel good.
Tired.
And and you were giving me the old, gut, I was not, kind of rubbing your stomach.
Something's not right.
And you had been to the doctor several times.
Yeah.
It's that colonoscopy is the key.
Yeah.
That's the only way they found it.
Well, after they found that in you, Lauren, I know Lauren. Yours is Laura, mine's Lauren. She said, you need to go because I told her, I said, I got bad news. And, she said, because I'd put it off. I'm not doing that. No, I'm not, just the thought of it for a man.
Oh, and that's me. That was my whole drawback. I'm like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Someone else can have that. I'm okay.
Yeah, but I went and did it because it scared me. It scared me for you. It scared me for me because I'm a little bit older than you. Not that I'd been having difficulties like you had for a long time. But, I went and had it done, and I was scared to death when I woke up.
Yeah.
And I'm going, well, what'd they find? Because I'm still groggy. And Lauren couldn't come in because it was COVID, so I was there by myself. And they're unhooking me. They're doing this, and then next thing I know, I'm in a wheelchair out the door, and I go, what'd they find? And she goes, well, your wife was outside, and she'll talk to you. And I was like, oh, my God.
Oh, yeah, they're going to let her break the news
Yeah,
to me.
So I get in the truck, and I said, baby, just tell me. Just tell me what, I can live with it. She goes, you're fine, shut up.
You're like, all right. Let's go to Cracker Barrel.
Yeah.
Well, that was always something good, too. We always rewarded ourselves with a good meal. But I will tell you that Lee's strength, just the not knowing, and too terrified that he would get COVID on top of this.
Oh, my God, yeah.
I mean, because we didn't know about that, but he went through the radiation, and then they rested a month, and then they did the surgery. And they told us they did not know for sure if the whole time there was the hope that he would not have to wear the ostomy bag. But when it came down to it, the actual cancer was so large, it had shrunk, of course, but he went from a tumor marker of 18 to 2, which is what he will be forever. He will never have a 0 tumor marker. So anyway, it was radical. I will say they removed everything, his rectum, everything. And
Rectum?
Yeah.
Rectum hell?
Yeah.
It killed them all.
And this...
My bad.
Yeah.
I just had to...
You were just trying to lighten the
I
mood, man.
was
Lighten the mood.
I was getting in a low place.
He did the same, and that's the way he did with the nurses too. He was the humorous patient, because what can
I
you
had
do?
to. That's my only way
Yeah.
to deal with things that I'm uncomfortable with or things that I don't know about.
And that's
I've got
what he
to
did.
be comical, and that's just
You got to
that's
see
just
the
my
humor
way.
in it.
And he did, and he tried to, and it lightened them up. Because you got to understand too, even for his checkups, they loved to see Lee come in because it is a somber place in oncology.
Yeah.
And to see
really,
someone with his attitude and his zest for life, he is what you call a manly man. And for a manly man to have had done to him what he had done to him, that was an example for them, and it's been his platform for, since he was diagnosed.
Yeah.
But then he did have his surgery, and it was terrible. It was awful. We didn't even, of course, I drove him home. That was number one mistake, because if there's a bump in the road.
You remember when you were a kid, and when the fair came to town, the old rickety wooden roller coasters?
Yeah.
That's about how she drives.
Yeah. And Lee was bounced and bopped and
we came down our driveway, and when we pulled into the driveway, I said, well, I will give you this, baby. You're 100%. You hit every pothole. Every one of them coming home. Which I had to bear hug a Pella between my legs and across my chest to get home.
Wow.
And they told us, they said, you bring the biggest Pella to pad you in, because it's not going to be
pleasant. And then
pleasant.
20 steps to climb, because we're 20 steps up.
Yeah.
We're in the air. So and then it really started, because he had drains coming out of him everywhere, and it was 2 weeks of just pure torture. I mean, a shower was almost an hour to get him in and out of a shower. But he was
about a lot of that.
He was a trooper. Let me tell you. I don't know how he did it.
Well, so are you.
Well, no, it's just to see him. I mean, it's like I had in my mind. We are fight or flight people. We stay outside. We live this life, and I knew survival is of the fittest, and he was going to survive. And like I said, we had a great group of people that supported us and gave us information. And then Lee started his own healing, because I had to go back to work, and he had a choice of staying at home or hitting those ridges. And for months, I don't know how he did it. He would leave in the mornings. Go ahead.
Yeah, they had told me, said, for the next year, you won't be able to work. You won't be able to go hunting or anything. And he said, if you tear any of this, and really we're being very gentle on telling what all that they cut me front and back, and more or less just kind of gutted me like a deer. And that's just about all I can say. But anyway, he said, if you tear any of this, he said, we know you pushed yourself through the chemo, but if you do this, we're going to do it again. And that was a terrifying thought to me, because this was terrible. I've got a little recurve bow that I've had forever, and I would walk the perimeter of our yard and just try to straighten up. It was so bad I couldn't straighten up to walk, but I would pull that recurve back, take a few steps, pull it back, and take a few steps. I did that for probably a month here at the house. And then some hunting property that I have, I would make myself every day, I'd get up. And it's not that I was hunting, but I would put a gun over my shoulder and walk those ridges.
Saved his life.
Yeah.
Mentally, physically.
Just doing it and making myself. Now, there's several times I'd get up there in those rocks, and I'd sit down and tears in my eyes and think, I'm not going to make it back down. I'm going to have to call somebody to come get me, but I would make it back. And that pushing myself and pushing myself is what helped.
And God was always, we prayed a lot, and our faith was first and foremost what got us through, because we both have a lot of faith and know that God's always had a plan for Lee. Lee says, about playing football back from college and stuff. I said, God wanted you to be a fisherman because you've touched so many people's lives, and this may be what God intended for Lee, this platform for all these fishermen, because the fisherman's life is every single candidate for what you can, for colon cancer. It's beanie weenies. It's all these Slim Jims that y'all eat, cold beer, all these wonderful things.
Viennas.
Yes,
Yeah.
processed meat, these beer, Oh my goodness, the beer, all these things.
That's
Yeah,
a terrible thing.
I know. These are all things that contribute to this. I'm just being honest.
Right.
So and family history. Lee's family had a history. His aunt and his grandmother both passed with colon cancer. So those things, plus age, those type things play a part in this. And we're not getting any younger, but thank goodness Lee did go. And like I said, he's talked about it now. A lot of people never knew he was still fishing. But then we went through all this. He started fishing again. We made it through COVID. He was back to guiding. Of course, dealing with this bag here. That's been a whole nother thing, and he's done fantastic with that. And then we went back. We went every 3 months for scans, which is important. Once you're a cancer patient, those scans, a lot of people don't go back. And he did.
And that is one of the things you have to do. You've got to go back for that, because I don't want to do it. I don't want to go back. I'm done with it. I don't want to think about it. But here's where it will help you again.
So it had been a year. We had 2 years since he'd been diagnosed, but a year since he'd finished his surgery. And it was in August, and we went for his scan. And the doctor he saw something that he didn't like, so they did another scan. And we are talking about the week before Labor Day. And on a Wednesday afternoon, he went to see the doctor of internal medicine, and they looked, and there was a spot on Lee's lung.
I remember this.
Yeah. It was 3:00 on a Wednesday afternoon. And the doctor, you'll have to tell him what the doctor said about your surgery day, because he knew then.
Oh yeah, all of a sudden he starts telling me now we've got to go. And I told him, I said, I will not have chemo again. I won't go through that again. I won't do it. And he said, well, our only choice is we're going to have surgery very quick. We're going to go in and take out half your lung. He said, when is the opportune time for you? This was September.
It was right before Labor Day,
Yeah.
and Lee was
And I
supposed
told him
to
last July.
Yeah.
You know.
And he was supposed to, then within 2 weeks, he was supposed to go to a big chamber statewide meeting where he was getting a tourism award.
Special award.
I remember that.
Yeah. So it's
And
like,
there it is over there.
yes. So it's like, no, we can't do this.
So he and we did not get along very well. He did not. He did not get my stupid humor.
Yeah.
That when I'm nervous, I do, and then that was agitating me, and
He was ready to run. I was
and
fixing to
I
have
told
a
him,
runner.
and he was a. I want to be as nice as I can with this because he did a great job. He was a smaller man that really wanted to press his, and I thought.
He had little man syndrome.
I thought, me and you fixing to skin up now.
Yeah, I was getting nervous just
because
watching
Laura was getting nervous and she was getting tears in her eyes because I'd already told him. I said, "Hey,
he's not going to do. I thought he's
we
not going to do
fixing
this.
to go out front, brother. I mean, here's what we're fixing to do."
The problem with where this spot was on his lungs, it was too close to his heart to box it, and they knew that they had to get it out. So surgery was the option, and Lee made a smart aleck remark. Well, tomorrow.
He said, when could you do it? I said, I'll be here tomorrow. I'll be here in the morning.
At 3:00 that afternoon, they contacted everybody, insurance at that point. We did have insurance. Anybody they needed to get in touch with. And by 7:00 the next morning, he was in pre-op.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I was like, when he called the secretary, he said, check my schedule for tomorrow. And he looked at me and said, well, I'm off. I'll see you in the morning. I went, oh, no.
Talking about a
And
whirlwind.
everyone that I've talked to, and even people in the medical field, said that does not happen.
Really?
And he said, I'll see you in the morning.
And again, with COVID, the whole issue of a hospital being able to get a room, plus rumor was they were fixing to just only treat COVID patients. So our time frame, again, fight or flight.
Yeah.
We got to get this done.
He helped me more than I knew.
Yes.
I mean, he helped me a whole lot
We
more
got a
than I
hungry
knew.
dog here. So I will wrap up my part of this by saying that he recovered himself once again, that mindset. Within 2 weeks, on that second Saturday after Labor Day, he was fishing a tournament.
I believe it.
Yeah. So it's like, so we are now, he goes for his scans every 6 months. We had a 2 year, which was a huge milestone in February of this year. And like I said, I can't say enough about Lee and how hard he fought. Nobody knows. Nobody knows until they've been through cancer or they've seen a loved one go through it.
Right.
I mean, you have no idea. And to see those chemicals infused and to watch literally the color just drain from their face. It's truly, and God has been with us every step of the way. And the support group from his sponsors, from his friends, my friends.
Yeah.
The ones we told. Like I said, we did not talk about this.
We kept it pretty quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just a private thing. I mean, this was something we were dealing with.
Well, you're not a self-pity guy, so
No.
you didn't want, anybody's pity.
Yeah.
No. And we had friends bring us food, which was wonderful because I love food and I loved having meals.
I like to eat too.
Yeah. And but like I said, great team from the Harbin Clinic Oncology. When they see Lee coming, it's a party. In fact, we're so noisy they just about run us out because we are, it's just nice to smile when you're there. And we met a lot of very fine people when we were going through this.
And like I said, they treated me unbelievable. I mean, it was just
from the receptionist.
They understood my mindset of it, understood how it was, and they would throw stuff back at me and bounce it back and cut up and talk and just laugh, and that helped me to have a mindset to do the best I could.
But anyway,
That's awesome.
I do encourage people to get those colonoscopies. They will save your life. Literally.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that. Because I would to this day I'm 59. I still wouldn't have gone and got one if it hadn't been for, not that you going through that.
Yeah.
But he's done well. I'm really proud of him and what he's been able to do from this. Because to look at him, like I said, people had even his clients had no idea. I said, did you tell these people?
Oh, I would be out there with people, and I'm like, "Hold, let me get the net. Hold on, raise that rod up, and you could hear something going, boop, 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 boop. And they're like, "What is that noise?" I'm like, "You don't even want to know." And I had that bag, and she said, "What is that?" I said, "That's straight chemo pumping in me." And they're like, "What?"
Nobody ever knew.
And you're out here fishing with us.
I wasn't supposed to be in sunshine.
Yeah, and he was driving back and forth. Like I said, they would have lunch. He would go to Rome because he took it off at 12. Had to have so many hours of pumping, and then come right back, finish the day, and nobody
That's
ever.
dedication right there.
It is with that hazmat suit in tow. I mean, it's crazy.
That's
Crazy.
that's a lot of courage, my friend.
I knew if I ever slowed down any or stopped, that could be it.
God was always pushing him, pushing him, telling him, I've got bigger plans for you in your life.
Well, and there's a reason, that you two are together too.
That's a whole nother story. I politicked for a long time to get where I am.
That's what I tell her. I said that's when you was trying to hire her on.
Yeah. But anyway, Chris, thank you for what you do.
Well,
thank you for letting us tell our story.
It was important because most cancer stories are sad.
Yeah.
And I knew that this one was, somebody out there might be listening to this that might be going through what you're going through.
And there was a lot of people that came forward after this.
I've had a lot of guys, friends, a lot of people that I may fish against or follow me or whatever, and they'd stop me either at a convenience store, stop me at a tackle store or whatever, and walk up to me and say, "Hey, you don't know me. I just want to introduce myself." And I can see it in their face. I can see their eyes are teared up, and I'm like, I can tell you it's going to be okay. Everything's going to be all right. And I can kind of tell them a little bit about what I've been through and what I've done. Is it easy? No, it's not an easy road, but it is something that is not a life-ending deal. That faith, you're having faith in your doctors and the people, and just staying upbeat and staying a good attitude and pushing yourself. Don't lay down and don't just lay down and say, "Well, I'm gonna see what this does." You got to push it.
And having a friend like Bob waiting on you when you come back from chemo, knowing he's going to be there. Hey, man, looking good. Have a cold beer. And, that was another thing.
Oh, yeah, I will say this. And don't don't do as I do. Wasn't what did they say?
Yeah.
But anyway,
don't do as I do as I say.
Going into my 4th treatment, I'd lost 30, almost 40 pounds.
Yes.
And was starting to feel it. Was starting to hurt. And Bob, my buddy, he came over and said, "Man, dang, man, you not had a cold beer?" And I said, "Uh-uh." And he said, "Well, in my side effects, I could not touch anything cold or drink anything cold because it would constrict my throat." And he said, "You could die.
You can't reach into a refrigerator or anything.
Yeah,
Nothing cold.
If I reached into a refrigerator or even down on that water, if it was a cool morning and some spray hit me, it was like fire was on me. It was like you grabbed an electric fence." And I said, "No, I hadn't." He said, "Man, think you might need to try one?" And I said, "Well, I can't have anything cold." He said, "We can handle that." And he just opened one and let it sit on the bar up here for about 20 minutes. And I thought, well, I'm going to try one. And I took a sip. I was like, and I shouldn't be saying this because a lot of people,
Right.
But
anyway,
this is what got him through
But that's
it.
what got me through. And I said, that was the most delicious thing I put in my mouth since I started this. And so when we would come in, he and I would have a beer or two up here. And so, of course, my wonderful wife had to throw me under the bus with my doctor because I was going into my last chemo treatment and I weighed the exact same as I did when I went into it for the first one.
Really?
And he said, "This never happens. This does not happen." And Laura said, "It's that alcohol he's drinking." And he went, "What?" And he kind of sat there for a minute. He said, "Normally I would highly advise against any of this. But," he said, "you've done better than anyone we have ever had to come through this treatment." He said, "Keep on doing what you're doing."
But anyway, he was. We're just.
No, we can say we can go on.
Yeah, we're just proud. Like I said, so you think it's a perfect storm of what it takes to get through that. There is such a combination of so many factors that gets you through, and to different folks, it might be different, but we felt like that whatever happened with us has worked up to this point.
Yeah.
So
That's an awesome story. I
Oh.
mean,
Yeah.
I've had to hold back tears back here behind the bar. I've
We-
you
It's
know,
been tough.
Listen.
I mean, it's been tough. But like I
We-
said, I just want to let everybody out there know if you're facing, keep your head up, keep pushing,
Keep your faith,
keep pushing, keep
prayer.
your faith. Yeah, because that's what does it.
and
That's what keeps you.
education. Always look for resources. There was a lot of resources that we did not realize that was out there. In fact, even today I was at the grocery store and a lady was telling me she had just gone through cancer, and I said, "Well, the cancer navigators are awesome." She said, "I didn't even know about this." That there's a lot of resources out there.
Yeah,
But God has been good, and we appreciate it. And you always want to give back. Once you've been through this, then I feel like it's your duty to give back to others and give information and try to be helpful and supportive.
well, Laura, I appreciate your
Thank you, Chris.
time, and
I'm going to feed my dogs.
you go right ahead.
baby.
Man,
Thank
what-
you.
Thank you.
Me and Lee will
I'm going
push
to
on.
turn over the microphone.
All right, I'm taking it back.
That's hard to do because I love to talk.
She likes to talk about me.
And me
Yeah, I know.
can always be about me.
Well, thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Well, you want to move on to something a little bit more upbeat?
Man, let's do. Well, I tell you what, we got to get back. And
Even your
let
dog's
these
ready
people
for
know
that.
something.
That's right. Well, look, I know you had a tournament last Saturday, ABT,
Right.
on Neely Henry.
Right.
Tell us a little bit how that went.
You know, ABT, anytime that it comes to town, you've got the best of the best fishing this thing. It's somebody's always going to just knock it out of the park. That's a given for this tournament trail. I was in the position where I had to have a good finish. I'd had a pretty rough tournament at Gunnersville, and I had to. The next few, I've got to do everything I can to be able to make the championship here on my home lake.
Right.
I don't want to be sitting on the bench, when this thing comes to town. So it was one of those deals where still I had some missed executions that I should have really followed through on. That Had a couple of fish come off that would have helped me, but still, out of 225, finished 15th. Had 2 smaller fish that I should have kicked out. Just, one of those things that everybody knows in the fishing world. It happens. It happens to everybody. But had some good weights there. Most of the guys, I think, caught the fish fairly shallow. 2 or 3 of my buddies, Danny Shell and Buster, his partner, that they backed off and hit some fish that nobody else was hitting. They hit these secondary points and some of the creek ledges and caught their fish out there deep. They had, I think, a top 10 finish, had a great finish on it. But it was a multiple of things. People caught fish about any way you want to fish. There was some topwater fish caught. There was some deep fish caught. There was some flipping fish caught. So a little bit of everything going on.
Who caught the 8.5 plus?
Okay, those and man, I feel so bad. My partner had told me that it was a different team that caught these fish, and I kind of gave these guys some, what do you call it, accolades, yeah, whatever. And they're looking at me. I'm on stage and I'm talking and I'm pointing at them. Hey, my hat's off to you, this and that. And they're looking at me like, well, thank you, brother. We finished right below you, but thank you. Well, I'm glad you feel that way about us. But I'm embarrassed to say I don't know the guys' names, but my hat is off to them.
Yeah, that's a big one.
You catch 22 pounds at Neely.
Yeah.
Hey, you have smoked them. And then you catch an 8.5.
And look, that's, Neely's a great fishery, but
oh yeah,
8.5 pounder at Neely.
That's a big one.
Yeah,
I mean that's the biggest fish I've heard there in a while.
Long time.
Yeah, and like you said, 8.5. That's a big fish anywhere. I don't care if you go to Chickamauga. I don't care if you go to Gunnersville, wherever. That's a big fish.
That is a big fish. That's a big old joker. Well, you want to do some backroad news?
Let's see what we got going on.
All right. Let's see. We're going to jump right in. This is from fieldandstream.com. Mr. Bill Heavies wrote this piece. And this one, you ever been up to Alaska or up north, Canada?
No.
Never been up
Well, no, I have. I've been to right up above Rising Fawn. Mont Eagle. I've been to Mont Eagle. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's close.
That's north.
It's north. Oh, I thought you was about to tell me a story, man. I was like, whoa,
No.
wait a minute. I ain't heard about this. Now, here we go.
That's I was just trying to see where all my
hear you.
My world is took me.
All right, so, it goes without saying that neither one of us has been eye to eye with a moose.
No.
Yeah. And actually, you might be eye to eye to him, but I'm looking up. These two, how you say that? Inebriated? Yeah, there you go. That's as good as it's going to get. Gentlemen decided up in, it's got to be up in Canada. Anyway, the video of these two idiots, they're inching toward.
Oh, they got it filmed?
Oh, yeah, there's video out there. The guy that's filming's hollering at them, hey, get away from that moose. And they're shooting him birds and telling him to go F himself. And, this ain't your moose. And so they thought.
So it's like one of those deals. How you think this is going to work out? Not too good.
So, but anyway, the guy, they keep inching towards the moose. And luckily for them, man, it's not a dude moose. It's a female moose.
Oh, wow. So it doesn't have a big old set of horns.
Yeah, not a big set of shovels on that one. But they keep inching and inching, and then when the guy starts telling them to get away, it just eggs them on. Oh, look at us. We're an inch closer. I mean, it's crazy. Well, eventually one of the dudes reaches over and taps that moose.
It's like he finally flipped this chip off my shoulder.
Yes, and the moose went nuts. Well, now, see, it's wintertime. The parking lot is covered in ice. And the cartoons.
So they got slip and slide.
Yeah, the cartoons where the guy's running and he's not going anywhere? That's this guy. That's it. Yeah. Well, the moose just buries a guy behind a van.
I didn't realize how big a moose is. Okay, I watch him on TV and I see all this stuff, but a moose is like bigger than a full size big horse.
Yes.
I mean, it's got the feet. I mean, it's like those Bronco riders and stuff like that, where it's not like you say, okay, I'm just gonna put my hands out and keep him off of me.
No, that's not happening.
No, it does not happen.
That is not happening.
Wow.
But that's, it just goes to show you that the alcohol, cold weather, and moose don't go together.
No, not good.
All right, now we've discussed this many times, and you've been a tournament fisher for a long time. Have you ever had a guy pull a gun on you when you're fishing around his dock?
Yeah.
Have you really?
Yeah. You had a guy shoot at me one time.
Really?
Yeah.
They arrest him?
No, but we just all kind of went our separate ways.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So that happens a lot more than I think it does.
It's
never happened to me.
This was a long time ago, and it was back. And like I said, I don't know what kind of mindset this dude had, but he was upset about something, and I think I was just the closest target.
Wrong place, wrong time.
Yeah, and I'm like, hey, easy.
Well, there's a guy that kind of lost it. It was on Miller's Ferry during a fishing tournament. Guys were fishing around his dock.
Yeah.
And we don't know the particulars. Maybe they were clanking a jig up against his boat or something. We just don't know. And there's a video of this too.
I saw that. My wife woke me up and showed me this on the news.
And did that look like a cut off double barrel shotgun he was holding?
It looked like he was serious.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I couldn't. The video wasn't clear enough at that distance to tell what he had.
He looked extremely upset.
Yeah, and that's a bad misconception from homeowners on the river. Bad that they own the water around their dock.
Yeah.
And I've got the rule right here. Actually, it's a law. It's Alabama Section 911.
State law.
State law. No person shall willfully or knowingly prevent, obstruct, impede, disturb, or interfere with, or attempt to prevent, obstruct, impede, disturb, or interfere with any person in legal hunting or fishing pursuant to the rules and regulations of the Department of Conservation and Natural Resources and the law of the state of Alabama. Now I can breathe. So that, I don't know, you'd think that's a good looking boat. I'm telling you guys, I'm sitting here and I'm watching boats go by left and right from the Pitts cave. But you think, that as long as there's been tournament fishing, that these homeowners, you think these are new homeowners that just don't know? Or
I think a lot of them probably are. And I see it here, but here's how I try to handle this. I try to, especially and with a lot of my clients, I've got guide trips out, and I may have a dock that I know there's a bunch of crappie under this dock, and we want to go shoot it so they can get some more numbers, have a good time. If I see people on it or people out in the yard, I think it's a give and take. It's all how you handle it. It's all how you see what frame of mind the people. If you're pulling up somewhere and all of a sudden old guy looks like a turkey when they get alerted, burp, 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 and he's eyeballing you, just go on to the next one, because you're going to save all of you some problems. I think it's a give and take kind of deal, even though you have the right to fish it, but I think that's where some sportsmanship and some good common sense kind of pulls into play. And probably what happened, I saw this video. I saw where the guy was probably up in the woods because he had the scissor type kind of back and forth staircase that came down. I think these guys were fishing, and in his mind, he thought they were looking to try to steal something. So he's already got his emotions up. He's already in that fight mode coming down, instead of, let's watch these old guys. They're just fishing. Let them. they're going to be here 3 minutes and they're going to the next one.
Right.
But because I heard that, I know what you're talking about. She woke me up and told me to watch this, but his aggressiveness to these guys, and then you were in here trying to find something to steal. You were finding something to, and I mean, kind of see both ways, but breathe, take a little time, think about it. Just everybody kind of.
Yeah. When
You got a guy pulling up to your dock in a $90,000 rig. I don't care if it's a $200 rig. He's fishing. Let him fish and let him go on by. Let him do his thing. He's not going to hurt anything.
Right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Anyway. And like I said, I'm a property owner out here. My wife, she'll wake up during duck season. These guys, my hat's off to these duck hunters. I'm not getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning and getting that freezing cold water and ride up and down this lake. I'll go climb a tree and I'll go shoot ducks at a buddy of mine's place, but at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm not running up and down this river. And we'll see these big lights and these duck boats, and she's like, oh my goodness, do we need to worry? And I said, those guys right there making all that racket and coming up and down the river, you ain't got to worry about them. It's them old dudes sneaking around is ones you got to worry about.
Yeah, without lights on.
Right. It's them old guys that sneak.
You hear a little motor, but you don't see anything. Those are the ones you got to watch out for. But Lee, I so much appreciate you telling us your story today, and that's the whole reason I wanted to do this, is because I thought it might help somebody. And your courage and what you and Laura went through, because I have to put Laura in that too, because she's what a support system you have.
Yeah, I will agree on that. I mean, if it was not for the I can't take credit for all this, because it was the strength of my wife too, and her. It's the whole family goes through this, and everybody needs to realize that it's everybody in the family when you go through this. And once again, it's one of those things like we were talking about the guy with the dock. You got to think a lot. You got to use your head a lot. It's a struggle for everybody, and you will get through it. Just stay together, keep your faith. You will get through it. Like I said, I know this episode wasn't like we normally do, but I do think that this, somewhere down the line, somebody is going through this right now. They're hurting. They're scared. I'm 6'4", weigh 275. I was scared.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
But it's okay, because it's going to be all right. Everything's going to be okay.
Well, I can't tell how much I appreciate, your story. And I hope there's somebody out there that this helps.
Yeah.
And
I want to tell this to people out there too. A lot of you guys don't know me. A lot of you guys have seen me around. You watch some of my videos, my YouTubes, my things like this. If you see me somewhere or around me, hey, if you got some questions, stop and ask me. Because this, I believe I went through this and I did this, that I can help ease the stress and the pain for somebody else.
Right.
So, I know what you're going through. It's going to be okay. But hey, man, hang in there. It's going to be good.
That's right. Well, Lee, thank you. Beautiful place, beautiful family, and I appreciate your time here.
Well, thank you so much. Hey, we enjoy it, and glad you came.
Thank you. And you guys, if y'all have a question for Lee, again, don't hesitate to ask. If it's about fishing, if it's about what we covered today, he'll be glad we'll cover it next time. Or if you need something sooner than that, I'll get him to shoot you an email. Just hit us at BamaBackroadsOutdoors@gmail.com, and I'll make sure he gets it and we cover it. And again, thank you guys.